Nothing that we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Okay. Starting a little bit later today, had some items to handle before I came on, but here we are, and we're just going to do a quick pre-market look here. We are going to do the regularly scheduled live lab that we do. It starts in about 40 minutes or so. But before we get there, just taking a look, seeing if I can find some setups in the current market, see if there's any opportunities before we get there. And then as we show up to the regular live lab, we'll go ahead and review all of that as well. So first of all, one of the questions that I keep asking, and there's evidence to support my theory here, that the USD/JPY seems to be somewhat of a predictor, at least short term, of the NASDAQ, right? And there are reasons for this. However, I do have a pretty accurate USD/JPY prediction that I did on Sunday night, and price continues down, and pretty accurate. But the USD/JPY, at least on a sort of short term, does seem to predict the NASDAQ in a way, right? Obviously, USD/JPY going down since Monday, the 12th of May. It's now the 21st of May, and nothing but down. NASDAQ, not so much. But when you see kind of a hard spike down in the NASDAQ, you'll notice that the USD/JPY can also show a bit of a move down. So the correlation is probably there because money leaves the stock market to go into the Japanese yen, right? Now, what are we seeing in the markets right now? I can tell you that it's interesting. There was such a big move down in the NASDAQ, and that happened as a result, supposedly, of the tariffs and all of that. But the reality actually is that that move started probably with the DeepSeek situation, right? So DeepSeek pretty much showed that large AI projects don't require the kind of budget that they were being given, the billions and billions and billions of dollars. And so when that happened, a lot of money left companies like NVIDIA. And what was also realized at that time was that this could affect other markets as well. This concept of, hey, we don't really need this much money to run these projects. So a lot of money that was being lent out to invest, a lot of that money, I mean, theoretically, but not so theoretically, dried up. And so when that happened, markets fell. It's pretty typical. There's no money to go into markets because all money is debt. All money is borrowed. 90 some odd percent of money in markets is just borrowed money, right? So maybe 99%. Hard to say that exact number. I haven't looked it up, but I'm going to be willing to bet that that's the case. And with that being the case, no money to go into markets, markets fall. Pretty simple equation. Well, then all the tariff stuff happened after that. Some argue that the tariff stuff was to actually protect against that issue, right? To protect against the possibility of, markets deflating due to foreign, I don't want to say adversaries, but foreign competitors putting a super cheap market on the product. It's almost like a tale as old as time when you're looking at a manufacturing power that had prominence in a given industry for so long, and something had happened, and that prominence was threatened, and it would seem that that prominence was threatened as some kind of exercise, and so now everything had to be renegotiated. During that renegotiation, the NASDAQ took a nasty dump, right? It hit all-time highs in February, mid to late February. I believe DeepSeek business happened right at the end of January. It might have been, I think it was like January 22nd, if memory serves. I think that's when that happened. The market got held up, but eventually deflated. And of course, that deflated along with tariff talks and all the news that we are so familiar with, know, and love. But then the bottom was found roughly on Sunday, the 6th of April. We were having a move back up, right? So is this move back up just a technical move? Is this move back up happening because we had such a strong move down due to tariff talks? Now tariff issues are somewhat resolved to a certain degree, especially with China. Talks with China going well. Price is headed back up to find some equilibrium. The question is, will this move be sustained? Because this is a pretty big move, right? Pretty big move to the upside. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the higher time frame. This is the prediction I made on Sunday. So far, it's more or less correct. The swing down on the Sunday open was a bit stronger than I thought it would be, but it did end up more or less following the path after that, after things equalized, which Sunday opens can be, unpredictable. So the Sunday opens are oftentimes where price gets pushed around to push people in and out of the markets. And this is why I don't really trade Sundays. Very unreliable. So let's go to a higher time frame on this NASDAQ and see what the algos are telling us, right? So I could tell you on the weekly, right? And I'm going to go to a different chart without all of the drawings on it. And I'm going to expand this out another panel so we have some higher time frame data. So if you actually look at the monthly, let me see here. Actually, let's focus on the weekly. The monthly is it doesn't give us a lot of data, but the weekly here, you see the big move down, the move back up, and prices reapproaching its high. What it's actually doing here from a price action standpoint is grabbing liquidity from the prior high where price was ranging for a bit. And the real question is whether or not price will be able to challenge, make a run at that 22,450 high, or whether or not it's going to settle back down, maybe create a range, maybe head back down, whatever it is. I doubt that price is going to go back down below these lows. I think that the turmoil, if you will, or the negotiations or whatever word you want to use, I think those are done for the moment. Now, of course, things can go sideways and they might even be pushed sideways. And it's a great way to kind of rock the market. But I think that the major volatility is starting to wear off, at least for now. And just to look at the algos, there is a reason for the NASDAQ to reset. And people at Algo Factory know what I'm looking at here. There's a lot of bullishness yet left, but what I think is probably going to happen is price may range a bit before it makes a decision. And that range could be anywhere between about 20,800 and near the all-time high. And as it does that, things are going to start to shape up where we might be able to either predict which way it's going to go, but I do expect some sideways action for now. If I were to zoom in, I would, the NASDAQ's unpredictable. A lot of money can flow into it very quickly. So what you thought was going to happen may not happen. But there are two levels I'm looking at for a bounce here, right? And NASDAQ might not head down. My NASDAQ might just stay high and not head back down. But higher time frame range has a lot of bounces at 20,800. And we have a local bottom here, which is at 21,100. So what may happen is price, like I said, volatility might fall off a bit, at least until there's some major news. And then you'll see maybe like a grind down to 21.1. And how this behaves here is going to tell us a lot, because we might see, at least for a little while, price create a sort of a range, more or less, between 21.2 and 21.5. Okay. Price might bounce here and continue up, or it might just grind it down. Now, how it behaves, there's this local support right here, right where price just bounced off of. And sure, I've got an eye on that. I'm not sure how important that support is, but I've got an eye on it. It's at about 21,250, but price may grind down through that and come to test 21,100. And if price bounces right at that area, then that's going to tell us a lot about what's going on. It's going to tell us, whether price is ready to go ahead and head up or not. Now, if the NASDAQ needs more time to reset, then I have my eye on that 20,850 level, and we'll go from there. But compared to the last several weeks, these are very minor moves. This volatility that we saw, price is kind of, it appears to be reestablishing an equilibrium here. So when it does that, the rest of the market might also start to get calm as well. And that's what I do expect to see going on here. So also markets are pretty compressed or compressing. Actually, I should say not compressed, but they are compressing. The move down in USD JPY is pretty notable right now, like we talked about earlier. So there was a bit of a head and shoulders pattern here, and it did play out, and I did point it out to Algo Factory and so on. So when that happened, I showed Algo Factory what my targets might be. And as the pattern was broken, the targets were very obvious. And I will map those out now. And price is at the first target here. So, this was a pretty obvious short. There were some tricks to that short on the USD JPY, but the first target's been met. What I think will happen here, though, is price will probably continue down, but not without some challenges. Price, having gone down for so long, is going to want to start to go up at some point. And there is a pretty strong support right here at the 618. So if price does head down further, I do expect it to grab 142.45. But I'm going to zoom in here, and this is probably where we're going to focus this morning, at least for now, on where setups might be, because a nice grind down can give us some setups here. CUSD JPY. All right. We'll get the 30-minute. All right. So what's tricky about this is we're probably just going to see this sort of just what we've been seeing, this grind down, but with sort of unpredictable pop-ups, sort of. So, we have this pop-up here. This pop-up might last a little while longer. We'll see. And then it might try to go down and pop up again or not, right? But at some point, it's probably going to break down. And then you have this kind of, not even this drastic, but probably more of just a kind of a grind down like this. But once price gets down to this 142.45, which is the 618 target from this head and shoulders, that's where we're probably going to see a significant move to the upside. That's going to be something to watch. I would definitely take care on that. If I were short on that, I would take profit down at the 142.45. As it stands right now, it's pretty difficult to pick out trades. There's been a lot of little grabs on the way down here, but maybe just kind of scalping to the upside right now. Just according to the algos, that's kind of what there is to do. But scalps to the upside are getting kind of murked. They're getting messed up here. Like, so for example, on this little breakout here, this was a good breakout to buy, but it got knocked down. So even though it was a good breakout to buy, it got freaking punched right down. And it even had a little, and this is on the low time frame. This is scalping time frames. And it even had a reason to break out further, and now it's getting punched back down as well. So the bears are really in control. But the bulls have these moments of just like hitting it hard, So I'd say the thing to do on this particular game is just to choose very carefully, be very patient. Otherwise, you're just going to get a death of 1,000 cuts. This is a very strong move down right now, and it's going to probably continue down. So the thing is, when I see strong moves down, I look for rallies to sell, and those are only coming every so often, right? You had one on Tuesday, another small one on Tuesday, and that second one I was watching, it was very hard to see this particular rally. This first one was very doable. Second one, not so much, right? And then you can see here where if I zoom in, you can see my algo called this one here very nicely. So that one was good. And then there was this one that was, before I was awake. I didn't quite get this one. I would like to have gotten that one, but, can't get them all. So let's go ahead. We're going to take a very brief look at Bitcoin, and then I'm going to reset so that we can go ahead and start the other show. But I do want to just see if I got a quick setup on this right here, because this I mean, it wants to go down. It really does, but it's also struggling not to go down. It's just, this is what happens in a strong move down. You just get these little bear market rallies on the way down. The price is like, I don't want to go down yet, and then it just gets crushed. So let me do this and that. Yeah, this might be where price go ahead and reverts back down. Like this little pop up right here that just got sold off, and you got the algo call on the 1 minute, which is a very low time frame. This is, scalping time frames. That might be where this goes, for the next dive. So tricky times, to be sure, and it is what it is. Let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin, and then we'll take a break. Might even look at a couple other things, but now Bitcoin, I have been calling this out to the private group, to Algo Factory. Look, it's bullish against resistance. So what it's doing, and is what I said it would do to the private group, is kind of like it's grinding up, but the pullbacks are kind of brutal, right? So if I were to do this, you'll see that there are higher lows and higher highs. Very, very obvious, right? So each high, more or less, is going to be higher, with some exceptions, but not many. And then each low is definitely getting higher. And that's a very bullish thing to see. Doesn't mean it's going to go up indefinitely, but this is a bullish thing. And I've been pointing out that this is bullish since Monday, and it has gone up since then. It did grab liquidity at the bottom of the chart on Monday very, very early, but it has done nothing but, go up with some pullbacks. And it made its way up to 108,000, with 109,500 being the top side. So this is a bullish formation. Now, again, there's a good chance, if you look at the algos here, that we might be in the middle of, well, we are in the middle of a pullback, but it might be a very quick pullback. You might see price just kind of go like this and then continue up. Today may be the day we see the all-time high. So this is something to bear in mind as I go ahead, as I go ahead and start to prep for the live lab. And that live lab starts in about 25 minutes. In the meantime, I will take a brief look at gold and also let you know that that is very strong. Now, a lot of people thought gold would really head down, and it may. This might actually be a double top coming up to retest, and then it can't get past maybe like $3,300. We'll see about it. There's a pretty decent bit of price action here around the 3,300 area, where price might come up and grab liquidity and then head back down, right? So gold might be bull trapping people, but as far as the algos are concerned, at least very high time frame, gold's pretty darn bullish. Gold doesn't seem like it wants to head down. Not for the moment. Now, it might do this push up for a few days and then head down. And you're going to get the short-term pullbacks, but I would expect gold right now to, you might get a pullback to like 32.60, but I think it's going to climb up. I think it's going to kind of pull one of these right here, like maybe like this and like this, kind of a, maybe like a head and shoulders, just, I don't know, just kind of guessing on that. And then a move up to here. And that's going to take us into like, a few days or even next week. This is just the way I drew this is a couple of days, but it might take a lot longer. It might be ranging. There's just a lot of things that can happen. But as that plays out, what I believe will eventually occur is we might see a local top and a move down. But I'm not worried about that right now. I'll worry about that as it matters, as the trades form up, right? So these are just kind of the setups for now. Nice win, by the way, right here. I put this setup out on Algo Factory last night. Extended targets to top side that might still continue up, but the move on the head and shoulders bottom was made. And so I posted this and I showed it to Algo Factory. I said, this is probably what's going to happen. And so some of the guys probably did their own research and took a trade like that. But yeah, that's the win. And of course, price did reject right here at this structure, more or less. So price may still be bullish. We're going to take a look at what's going to happen with that again here in a few minutes on the live lab. So if you're watching, go ahead and take a break. I'm going to come back, like I said, in about 20 minutes, and we're going to do the live lab. And then we'll have that first bit where the public can see it. And then what I'll do is I will go over to the private live lab where we will, answer all the questions and do the custom charting and all that. And then if there are some good setups, etc., I'll come back on and do some live scalping. So thanks for watching. Go ahead, click the link in the description, get your free algo. We'll also let you know when we're going to do our I'm going to do a workshop. And this time it'll be free. It's going to be a paid workshop in the future, but you're going to watch me trade for a couple days. It'll be just nothing but watching me trade. I might even give away a secret or two, but I'm going to probably do it towards the end of June. We're going to see. I got to take a look at the calendar and see when I can actually block off 2 days for that. But if you go ahead and give us your email right there, just go there, give us your email. I don't care what your name is, give us a fake name, whatever. Then we will let you know when that's going to be. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in about 20 minutes. Cheers.